Last week, I was hit with food poisoning of some sort, and I was out for like 4 days straight, just sleeping, exhausted. Barely ate anything, and ugh. So it's good to be back. It's good to eat food, drink coffee, and finally finish my book. Holy moly. What, has it been like 2 months since I started this? I just can't read 10 books a month. 10, 15, 20 books a month. I can't do it. You know, when I pick something, I want to give it my all, give it my full attention, and not book hop from other stories. You know, it's funny. When I put a book down for a couple days, maybe a week, take a break from it, I'll forget about some things. I'll forget about a character or a story detail, or maybe even the story as a whole. But when I put Assassin's Apprentice down, it still stuck with me right here. I didn't forget a single detail. That goes to show just how beautifully written this book was, and how that language, how it was executed and presented, it just sticks with you on a deeper level. Very much like Name of the Wind stuck with me, and how it still sticks with me. So let's review Assassin's Apprentice, the first book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. What is this book about? This book is about a boy, a bastard child named Fitz Chivalry, and he's an outsider, and he's trying to figure out who he is, you know, growing up, and trying to navigate where he stands and where he fits in this world and in this maze of politics and royalty. He has mentors, he has teachers, and some of these mentors take up an almost father-like figure for him. It's a lonely world for Fitz. So he's always wondering who to trust and who's the bad guy and the motivations and that's all I'll say, because I would hate to spoil the story and the narrative beats for you. Name of the Wind is my favorite book of all time, and a lot of people told me, if you love Name of the Wind, you'll love this book. You'll love Robin Hobb. And yes, I love it. I loved every bit of it, especially the writing style. Robin Hobb is the queen of fantasy. She has such an elegant and honest way of writing. It's never overly descriptive or wordy, yet it's so vivid, and the descriptions really transport you into this world, into the shoes of Fitz Chivalry. And something I always talk about that I look for in a book is not only immersion, but feeling. To be able to feel the book, to feel the words. And Robin Hobb's writing style, you can feel it. I don't know how else to say it, but you can feel it right here. You can feel the atmosphere, the living and breathing world. You not only feel the world and the atmosphere, but you could feel the people and the characters within, the emotions they feel. I can feel it. And that feeling is so familiar. It's almost nostalgic. I can feel the excitement that Robin Hobb describes. I can feel that burning sensation of guilt that you would feel in your stomach, and how it can ruin a lovely meal. I can feel that. And this feeling almost brings me back to moments in my childhood, to vivid memories and moments that I've experienced. And yeah, I haven't lived in this medieval world and this family line of royalty, but there's this human experience that Hobb translates on the page that I can feel. And I know. Take a sip of your coffee every time I say feel, because I'm just going to say that word over and over again, because this is a book that I could feel. It's just that emotional depth that I look for in a book that delivered right here. That takes a special talent. And it's a lasting feeling that's just going to stick with me. And something I always talk about is, ambiguity. Being left in the dark. Throughout this book, I'm always left wondering and pondering and just trying to figure out what is actually happening. Sure, I'm not lost. I know what's happening, but Fitz is also confused because the story is told through his words. And you're wondering alongside him. You're wondering, do I trust this guy? Who really did this? What are the true motivations? I love when books and stories and movies and video games leave the viewer and the reader left wondering and always asking questions. Not everything needs to be spelled out. Everyone talks about Robin Hobb and how she really provides that slice of life kind of story. And that's what this is. And you could really feel it within the pace of the book, how the story is paced, moment to moment. Fitz making his way through the halls and into the kitchen, having a meal, how that meal is described, how he feels, what he's thinking about while eating that meal, the smells and sights and sounds of the stable and the animals and how they're cared for. Nothing overstayed its welcome. Nothing lingered too long, and nothing felt too fast. I wasn't dropped in and pulled out right away. I felt like we were given the proper amount of time with each character and within each scene and moment. Being able to sit in the shoes of these characters and listen to these conversations, these ponderings, and the arguments. They played out almost in real time. You weren't cut off. And everyone talks about Robin Hobb and how she writes characters. And I can truly see that. I really think when it comes to characters, Robin Hobb is the best. Because these characters feel so lifelike, so real. Like they've lived this life in this book. Like they truly feel real. I feel like I'm reading history. Like a glimpse of someone's life that was truly lived. They don't feel like caricatures or little glimpses and signposts. They're people with motivations and feelings and emotional depth. Complex characters, fully multi-dimensional. And these characters you can't help but love or hate them or maybe not trust them. But then there's characters you'd die for because they have integrity and honor and selflessness. It's funny. It's funny when I talk about this book, I get choked up because it's such a tender book. It's so beautiful. I'm not much of a themes guy. I don't read books to look for themes. Or, oh, this is the theme of this book, and oh, this is what the meaning of this book is. But if I could describe a theme for this book, I would say loyalty. Characters who are loyal and characters who aren't. I love characters that aren't perfect, but characters you can root for in a very genuine way. You know, some characters in books may be a little arrogant, a little self-absorbed, might be a little hard to root for and care for. But in this book, goodness. There is a relationship in this book that I think is the most beautiful relationship I've ever read. And I'm not going to say who it is, who it's between, but every conversation they had, I couldn't help but just get a little choked up, a little teary-eyed, because loyalty. It wouldn't be a fantasy book without magic, a magic system. Well, this magic is not hard. There's no spreadsheets and maps and graphs and pages in the back of the book that explain, you know, put 2 points into this and 3 points into that and you'll get this, and mix a little bit of this and a little bit of that. No. This is magic that truly has a feeling to it. And it's a magic that driven by the mind. I still don't know too much about the magic. You know, something that Robin Hobb does in this book, we'll talk a little bit about the world building, is she doesn't throw a lot at you. She just kind of sprinkles this, sprinkles that. Oh, let me give you a little bit of this history. Let me talk about this elder and this god. And that's it. Just a page. Nothing more, nothing less. And just sip on that for a little bit. Maybe it doesn't get brought up again. Same thing with the magic system. There are things that are alluded to and kind of shown and felt, but not really told. And there's stories that characters tell each other about ancient magics and the pitfalls of using that magic, and maybe some of the benefits of that magic. But you as the reader still don't have a conclusion, a hard conclusion to come to. And I love that so much. I'm looking at my notes and there are still plenty more points on characters. So let's get back to characters. Very much like her world building, she's not throwing a lot at you. Same thing with characters. You're learning about characters bit by bit in a very intimate way. You aren't thrown character after character and nouns and names and proper nouns. Robin Hobb will introduce a character, or maybe 2 characters at a time, and then that same character will reappear a few more times. And all the while, these characters are building relationships, maybe keeping their walls up, maybe lowering them a little bit. They're having conversations, and sometimes they have conversations for whole chapters. And through these conversations that are written so organically, you are learning about each of these characters, where they stand politically, and where they stand on a moral compass. You learn about their past and their values and standards. You sit in the shoes of Fitz, and you are learning about these other characters and this world through his eyes. And you're learning about Fitz's father based on how these other characters are treating Fitz, how they talk to him, how they react to him. And that's what makes Robin Hobb's writing feel so natural and organic. You aren't just told, hey, this guy feels this way because of this. Or, hey, Fitz's father, blah, blah, blah. No, you learn about this through conversation. And that's very rare nowadays in books and stories, because we're told so much. Because I don't think film directors and writers and authors really trust their audience. And I'm so happy Robin Hobb trusts us. She allows us the freedom to go on this journey, this emotional roller coaster. And I guess lastly, let's talk about tone. Robin Hobb, Assassin's Apprentice, the tone is so mature and it's familiar. I don't know how else to describe it. It's not goofy or cheesy or unrealistic. Nothing pulled me out of this book. Nothing felt off. I wasn't like, no one would actually say that. No one would actually do that. I was fully immersed in this world, this atmosphere, this narrative. I was sitting in the room with Fitz, with all these people and all these conversations in this life of royalty and politics, and learning to be secretive, learning to keep your cards close to your chest, and learning how to evaluate and discern, how not to overreact, how to keep cool and calm. It's funny, I read the title, Assassin's Apprentice, and that's a good title. But if this was written by a different author today, within the world of modern fantasy, I feel like it'd be so cheesy. And I wouldn't be able to take it seriously. I feel like it'd be very surface level. And, oh, look at me, I'm a cool assassin. I learned how to do this and that. And, you'd be told a lot. You'd be told, oh, this is how far I've come. I kill kings and queens. Oh, I had a bad past. I was an orphan and I was all alone, but look at me now. There wouldn't be that emotional journey. It'd be more cinematic and look at how cool I am. Navigating the world of being an assassin, there is so much to it. And it is so believable and real in this book. And it's not overly glorified. This is a necessity in this world. In the landscape of kingdoms and kings and queens and princes and princesses, assassins are needed and used. And poor old Fitz, he's in it. He's in this world. I think that is all I can say about this book. I don't like giving a book an arbitrary number or like a 5-star rating. If I liked a book, I liked it. If I loved a book, I loved it. If it stuck with me, then I'm going to remember it forever. And that's what matters to me. What matters most to me when reading a book is being intentional, reading with purpose. And if I don't like that book, I might not finish it. And if I love that book, I know it'll stick with me and I'll remember it for years to come. And let me tell you, that's this book, Assassin's Apprentice. I'm so happy I pushed this off for years. And even taking 2 months to read this one book, that's not even 450 pages long. I'm happy I took my time with it because I always say this on my channel. You can only read a book for the first time once. So I don't want to rush it. If you have not read Robin Hobb, I highly recommend it. Try her out because I don't hear her talked about a lot. I don't know if you noticed the Dungeons and Dragons books that I showed off in the beginning of this video. I am a proud uncle. Last weekend I ran a D&D session for my nephew, my 6-year-old nephew. He didn't just sit there for 3 hours. He conquered it with his imagination and excitement and childlike wonder. I was so proud. It was so much fun. I really look forward to more adventures with him and the family. They slayed a cave full of goblins, and now they are trying to find their employer, a missing dwarf and a mysterious mine. So for those of you who do not know, I started a book club, and I have a video on that right here that you can go to. I present 3 books to be voted on at the end of the month, and whatever book wins will be the book that is to be read the next month. And at the end of that month, I will host a live stream where we'll hang out, talk about that book, and rinse and repeat. And the 3 books I presented to be voted on was The Road by Cormac McCarthy, Carrie by Stephen King, and Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. Sadly, with book clubs, you will always have a book that wins that you didn't want to win. That was Piranesi. Piranesi won. I was very sad. This book, yes, I've heard great things about it, but I had no clue what it was. So the 2 books I genuinely wanted to read are now sitting on my shelf. But yeah, Piranesi won. You've got all of June to read. One more thing about this book club. This is not a long-term obligation. You are not obligated to read every single month. I'd love you to join. I'd love you to vote. But sadly, with book clubs, there will always be books that are chosen that you're not going to want to read. And don't feel bad about that. Don't feel like you're missing out. Join in on a later month. I want you to have fun reading, and I want you to read what you want to read. So hopefully, if ever there is a book that wins that was genuinely on your radar, cool. Let's party. Let's read together. Really, I wanted this book club to be a way of inviting you guys to read alongside me, but also give you a choice of voting. I think that about does it. I will be taking a break from this trilogy and read a couple standalones. Read Carrie by Stephen King, Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. As much as I wanted to read The Road, I might save this for winter, for when it's cold and gloomy. Thank you for watching my review on Assassin's Apprentice. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it, and if you haven't read it, highly recommend it. Till next time.